Independence is often celebrated as freedom, but freedom always comes with a price. For Singapore, one of the first and the most dangerous costs of separation was water. In 1965, Singapore became an independent nation, but it did not gain control over one of life's most basic necessities. Most of its water came from outside its borders. Every glass of water depended on agreements, and that meant independence did not bring certainty, it brought risk. Water became the first reminder that separation was not just political, it was something that affected daily survival. To understand why water became such a vulnerability, we have to go back before independence. Before 1965, Singapore was under British colonial rule. Water planning was done under colonial administration, not national survival. In 1961 and 1962, the British government signed two major water agreements with the state of Johor. These agreements allowed Singapore to draw large quantities of raw water from Johor's river at extremely low price, in exchange for supplying Johor with a small amount of treated water. At the time, this made sense. Singapore was not expected to stand alone. But when separation came in 1965, these colonial-era agreements suddenly became international treaties between two sovereign states, and Singapore inherited a system it did not control. Independence did not mean no dependence. Although the agreements guaranteed Singapore access to water, Malaysia controlled the physical reality, the rivers, the land, and the rainfall upstream. Singapore could not turn to another supplier. It had no natural lakes, no large rivers, and very limited land for storage. This meant water was never just utility, it was a strategic vulnerability. For a small, newly independent country, that uncertainty was dangerous. Lee Kuan Yew and Singapore's early leaders understood one thing clearly: a nation that cannot secure its water cannot secure its future. The risk became clear in 1990s. Malaysia proposed revisiting the price of raw water supplied to Singapore. Under the 1962 agreement, Singapore was just paying 0.03 ringgit for 1,000 gallons of raw water, a price fixed in the early 1960s. Decades later, Malaysia argued that this price was no longer reasonable. Between 1998 and 2002, Malaysia proposed sharp increases from a few dozen cents to several ringgit per 1,000 gallons. Singapore refused. Its position was firm. Any unilateral change would undermine the credibility of long-term international agreement. For Malaysia, the issue was domestic pressure. For Singapore, the concern was existential. In the end, negotiations collapsed. The original price remained unchanged, but the lesson was unmistakable. Singapore could not depend on imported water forever. Singapore's response was not confrontation, it was innovation. The solution was simple in concept, but bold in execution: create water locally. After years of research, Singapore launched the New Water, a system that takes treated wastewater and purifies it using advanced technology until it meets and even exceeds drinking water standard. Today, New Water is a major pillar of Singapore's water security. Together with desalination, local catchment water, and imported water, Singapore developed the 4 national taps, a diversified system designed to survive political tension and climate uncertainty. Water reveals a deeper truth about separation. Independence brought sovereignty, but also exposure. Even today, Singapore still maintains water agreements with Malaysia, not because it is weak, but because cooperation remains practical. What has changed is dependence. Water taught Singapore an early lesson. Separation comes with costs, some visible, some hidden. Pipelines, treaties, and treatment plants, these are not just infrastructure, they are the price of survival. And every time a tap is turned on in Singapore, the cost of separation quietly flows with it. But of course, water is not the only price Singapore has paid for the separation.
Waste in the China Sea. But now, the waters have been harnessed for the benefit of the people of Singapore, Johor Bahru and other parts of South Johor. The giant project, located on the right bank of the Johor River, about 1.5 miles upstream from Kota Tinggi, cost over $30 million. Raw water is taken from the river and treated in order to clarify and purify it. The treatment works consist of 24 settling tanks, 8 sand filters and a chemical building. At first, the new waterworks will supply 30 million gallons of water a day to Singapore and South Johor, but this can be increased later to almost 40 million gallons a day. Singapore's total investments on waterworks in Johor now total some $120 million. Singapore's PUB is the largest consumer of electricity in Johor, with an annual bill of over $2 million. With the wages paid to the resident staff in Johor, together with customs duties and royalties, something like $5 million in a single year goes from PUB into the economy of Johor. But even more important is the fact that the water, now clarified and purified and safe for drinking, is for the benefit of the people of Johor as well as Singapore. The Johor River Waterworks, to give the project its full name, was declared officially open by the Sultan of Johor. In thanking their Highnesses, the Sultan and Sultana, for once again adding luster, pomp and splendor by their gracious presence, Singapore's Minister for Communications, Mr. Yong Nyuk Lin, also paid tribute to the Johor State Government for their continued support, cooperation and generous help which have ensured the successful completion of the Kota Tinggi project. The Kota Tinggi project, which took many years of careful planning, much effort, hard work, sweat and toil, and cost many millions of dollars, is really an investment in the health and welfare of the people. And it is the people who are the true wealth of any country.